Swishout put out a video of the most criticized players in the NBA and why. Predictions in chat. The thumbnail obviously is hinting at it. I think LeBron is still up there. I think we're lying if Tatum isn't up there, to be honest with you. AD could also be up there. Zion. There's a lot of players. I'm curious to see who doesn't make the cut, because James Harden is literally frame one. So KD as well. KD.
Since leaving Houston, he's become one of the more polarizing players in the NBA. Even with the Rockets, whether it was fair or not, we know he had the reputation of being a playoff choker with some pretty underwhelming performances and some pretty big moments. But with everything he carried and how great he was in the regular season, it was only so much you can blame James Harden for specifically, especially going against teams like Golden State. But now where he is in his career, with 3 messy trade requests in the last 3 years, completely abusing player empowerment, and still having lackluster performances in the playoffs in the biggest moments, the heat on James Harden is really ramped up. He obviously still has the stigma of not being the most reliable playoff star, but now you can add a big unprofessional, which you really couldn't say before. And the last 2 teams that traded for him seems to be regretting it shortly after. But James, he isn't the only one. He's just the face of criticism currently. In this video, we're going to talk about the most criticized players in the NBA and exactly why they get the heat they do.
Was that supposed to be a pun? Anyways, I wasn't even trying to. What I wanted to say was one of the biggest new pet peeves I have within the NBA community is looking at players like, I don't know, last 3 to 4 years and just making like big statements that sound good to justify a certain take. For example, Kyrie Irving. Motherfuckers want to talk about how Kyrie Irving's a locker room cancer. They're going to look at every single team he's been on has just, fallen apart by the end of it. It's all Kyrie's fault, man. Every time Kyrie's on a team, shit just falls apart. But when you actually look at the context of every single team and as to why those teams fell apart, like, Kyrie wasn't, like, the number one reason, just ruined all the chemistry. You know what I'm saying? There's additional context as to why things happen, but you just want to put this blanket statement of, hey, look at what happened to those teams by the end of them. All of them had Kyrie. It's like correlation equals causation type shit. That shit is just annoying as fuck. But
today's video is sponsored that first features waterproof tipping the player side and the media side episode with Stephen A. I just found it very interesting to hear the player side and the media side within this relationship in sports. Both Stephen A and Paul George, they both express their sides and how it feels to be criticized, how it feels to critique, what's fair and what's not. And to me, it was just a healthy.
I wanted to watch this one on stream, but I was still in the Philippines. I really wanted to react to this though. That's tough.
The conversation I highly recommend. But Stephen A did say something that resonated with me. In the playoffs, the critiques hit different because you have to live with them all summer. The reigning MVP Joel Embiid, he's now become the face of this type of criticism where he's absolutely ridiculous in the regular season and routinely disappointing in the playoffs. Last year, after not winning the MVP for 2 consecutive years, we all knew he made it a point of emphasis to dominate, lead the league in points, destroy Jokic in that February matchup, score over 40 points 13 times. But in the playoffs, where your performances matter most and when you're weighed on a completely different scale, he consistently turns into a different guy, and he did that last year. Last playoffs, Joel Embiid picked Game 7, the last game, the most important game of the season, to have his worst performance of the year, regular season or the playoffs. Last postseason, Joel Embiid had the biggest point per game drop-off by an MVP in the history of the league. Joel Embiid is the only MVP currently to never make a conference finals. Joel Embiid,
that's such a crazy stat, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Because it wasn't too long ago when the barrier for motherfuckers getting, like, cooked was Steve Nash having 2 MVPs but never making the finals. You know what I'm saying? It was John Stockton having all of these longevity stats but never winning a ring. Joel Embiid somehow has raised that bar to Bro has been an MVP candidate for 3 straight years, actually won one, and still hasn't made a conference finals. Like, I'm not trying to be on Joel Embiid's dick, but that's just crazy though. Like he's coming up on year 10 and he hasn't made a conference finals. That's nuts, bro. That's nuts.
Historically, he's been terrible in elimination games. All of this, despite how great he is in the regular season, the MVP. All of
These are his elimination game stats? No way you're number one overall scoring, not number one overall, but no way you're number one scoring option, MVP caliber, most skilled, or one of the most skilled big men of all time, one of the most skilled scorers of all time. In elimination games, averages 25, cool, but shoots under 40% and averages 5 turnovers. That is insane. Chat, that's an insane stat right there, bro. He is that bad. What the fuck, bro?
Of this, despite how great he is in the regular season, the MVPs, all of that, it makes him the face of playoff choke jobs currently. Ja Morant is the prime example of going from the media's darling to somewhat of their target instantly, and really it's all been self-inflicted. In 2021, Ja won the most improved player. He was a fan favorite. His endorsements became more prevalent. In Memphis, they became a major draw television-wise for basketball, mainly because of him. But since
I can already see the effects with Ja Morant and his push by the NBA. Ever since all that shit happened, the NBA has been pushing him less. I'm not gonna lie, I remember there was a lot of hype to Ja Morant's shoe coming out. I swear to God, after all this shit came out, motherfuckers did not care about the Ja ones coming out. And if you actually look at the Ja ones, them shits look clean as fuck. Let me pull it up. Cause dead ass, like, Ja ones, I know Nike has had trouble like trying to make shoes that don't like you can't wear off court. Bro, the Ja ones. Hold on. There's a specific colorway. Maybe not these other colorways. But this one right here, these look tough as fuck, bro. Hold on, these right here look tough as fuck, bro. I don't know. Maybe that's just me though.
All of that success, Ja's been in multiple incidents with guns and off-the-court stuff that doesn't represent the NBA well, especially from one of their marquee faces. 5 alleged incidents in like 1 calendar year, most notably the one last year in March where he was holding a gun on camera in a club in Denver. Seemed extremely apologetic about it, got suspended for 8 games, had that weird interview with Jalen Rose, and then 2 months later, right after being eliminated from the playoffs and addressing him being a distraction for the team during the season, he's back on camera with another gun. Now he's suspended for 25 games of the following season, a whole new look team, which could possibly set that team back a little further. But somehow he's not even the most criticized player in his draft, because Zion, well, this man can't stay on the court either. In the last 2 years.
Oh shit, nah, I ain't gonna lie, shit. I feel bad for Zion, but at the same token, bro, I'm gonna keep it a stack. This shit is funny as fuck, bro. Oh shit, bro. The memes that come out of Zion situations and Zion drama is crazy, bro. Even just within this fucking stream. El Meat, shout out to El Meat, you know what I'm saying? But nah, man. Zion has been getting baked the last 2 to 3 years, man, which is unfortunate. Just because every time I look at all these scenarios, I think of what Zion's hype was. I think of what Zion's hype was going into this draft. And we're talking about a dude that I swear to God was getting LeBron James comparisons. Most hype prospect since LeBron James. In my opinion, even with Victor coming out this year, still was the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James, which is saying a lot. And for his career so far, it's only been 4 years going into 5, to play out the way that it has is disappointing as fuck. Disappointing as fuck. Because my go-to, because I always have these discussions ever so often about what an NBA bust is. And I feel like there's a spectrum when it comes to that conversation. There are the Adam Morrisons of the world. There are the Anthony Bennett's of the world. You know what I'm saying? People who got drafted number 1 overall or top 5 overall, had high expectations. But when push comes to shove, by the end of their career, motherfuckers couldn't even scratch 10 points per game. There's those types, a type of bust. But then there's also the bust in terms of expectations. The dude that you draft number 1 overall, the dude that you drafted to turn the ship around, the dude that you drafted to be the cornerstone player of your franchise, but they end up being a solid player. They just didn't turn out to be what the fuck you expected from them. You know what I'm saying? For me, my go-to example for that for the longest was Andrew Wiggins. And I always bring up in that discussion, yo, going into the 03 draft, with all the hype LeBron James had, the chosen one, in high school, getting comparisons to all of these all-time greats in high school, compared to MJ, Kareem, Kobe, Magic, Bird, Jerry West, all these dudes. Number 1 overall pick on the cover of Sports Illustrated. If that same dude ended up just being an 18-point per game scorer, averaged 4 assists, 3 rebounds, maybe made 1 All-Star team, would you consider that player a bust? And I'm not going to lie, maybe still not to that extreme, but Zion is like low-key getting there in terms of being that example for me. You know what I'm saying? With all the hype Zion had, if his career ends up being an extremely injury-prone career with 1 or 2 All-Stars, had a crazy peak, but at the end of the day, bro was supposed to be one of the faces of the fucking league. He had a shoe deal. He was signed by Jordan going into the league, had all this hype going into this draft, and he ends up being a 1 or 2 time All-Star, peaked for 1 or 2 years, but had an injury-prone career and never really made an impactful career within the NBA. I don't know. We might have to pod. I feel like if we get to that point, we might have to pod and have certain discussions about Zion and if he's a bust or not. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to keep rambling too much on that.
Zion Williamson has played 29 games total. In his career now, he averages 30 games a year in an 82-game season.
Bro.
The Pelicans, they've made the playoffs or the play-in twice since he's been there. He hasn't been a part of any of their action. And what always makes Zion so frustrating is how dominant the Pelicans have been when he's on the court, and even how solid they've been without him. Last year, that team was literally at the top of the West in that little 2-month stint with Zion.
Zion not only has MVP potential, but he legitimately has best player in the world potential. I'm going to keep it a bean. That's how great Zion is. And I really do wish the best for him, because I'm a Zion fan. But again, at some point, like, yo, we just got to be realistic, man.
Even with them being 3 games below 500 without him, they had a plus 28 point differential in a 53 game sample size. They hold down the fort as much as possible. This man is on one of the best young teams in the league with a lot of young talent in extremely important areas. He's literally the only thing holding that team back, and that's why he gets slammed. Russell Westbrook has always been one of the more polarizing.
Also, Persian, I'm gonna check my DMs after this stream. My bad. I still need to get to you about the last DM that you sent about being a mod on Let's Keep It a Buck. I'm pretty sure we'll be fine. I'll make you a mod next stream.
Players in the NBA, but his level of criticism, it went through the roof once he joined LeBron and, most importantly, the Lakers. Russ's style, we knew it never fit that roster. Russ is way too turnover prone, he's way too ball dominant, and he's way too inefficient to
Listen, Russell Westbrook was getting baked as a player of the Oklahoma City Thunder. You combine that with the LA media cycle, playing specifically for the Lakers, not the Clippers, and playing with LeBron James with championship expectations, yeah, bro was gonna get baked. Bro was gonna get baked, sauteed, grilled. Long story short, Russell Westbrook, I knew it from the jump. That motherfucker was gonna get cooked. No cap.
With that team. And on top of all of that, his contract was massive. Unfairly, he got killed for Rob Pelinka trading away all of their depth and him not being able to live up to the trade. And it made him low-hanging fruit for the better part of 2 years. Now,
that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree. I don't know about unfairly. I remember Russell Westbrook's shot selection. Chat, I remember. Hey, that's what I'm saying, Toad Legend. I don't know if it's unfairly. I remember Russell Westbrook's shot selection. I remember those percentages. I remember those dumbass turnovers he used to make. I remember those defensive lapses he used to have. I remember it all. So to say that it was just unfair the way Russell Westbrook got treated, hey, that's cap. I ain't gonna lie, that's cap. That's cap. That's cap. That's cap.
Oh, thank God he's in a great situation. But 5 teams in 5 years, Russ, he's had it hard since leaving OKC where he was loved. Ben Simmons, he's the player that we all had so much confidence and hope for like 5 years ago, but it seemed like he peaked damn near as a rookie, and currently it looks like he lost all of his confidence. I always try to make this a point of emphasis. Nobody's really mad at Ben Simmons for not shooting threes specifically. Yeah, that would be nice, but that's not what anybody's really expecting. It's just the fact that he's gotten progressively unaggressive in general, scoring the ball. His field goal attempts has steadily gone down since he joined the league, regular season and the playoffs. And he never really added anything to his bag offensively since his rookie year, which predictably led to massive playoff letdowns. And currently, it looks like he's on the worst contract in the sport. And speaking of worst contracts, Rudy Gobert is also a player that gets slammed by players, legends, fans, everybody, mainly because of the money he makes versus the...
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. In my opinion, Rudy Gobert is one of the most overrated, arguably the most overrated. I don't know, because LeBron's right there. He's an overrated player. Oh, Jesus Christ. He is an overhated player, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Rudy Gobert, in my opinion, is an overhated player. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that motherfuckers were really extremely getting salty that he was just racking up them DPOYs like it was nothing. Like there was a 4-year stretch where like Rudy Gobert just kept on winning DPOYs, if not was second to Giannis. And motherfuckers felt some type of way with the money that he was getting for honestly not much offensive value. All the hype he was getting for not much offensive value. He was a lob catching big who protected the rim and was racking up DPOYs, bro. So,
the value he really brings. I'm sorry, it's just the facts. Offense and defense, it's not equal in basketball. And the Timberwolves, they're paying him $40 million plus annually to be 90th in points per game a night. And that just doesn't sit well with a lot of fans. And defensively, whether it's fair or not, because he played with some bad defenders in Utah, some people think he's overvalued there, and that's where he makes his money. On top of all of that, he was recently traded last summer for this insane package, which obviously added more slander and critiques to everything he's not as a quote-unquote star. So that's why he gets slammed. Anthony Davis, he gets heat to me for 3 reasons. He plays for the Lakers, he plays with LeBron, and he's a bit too inconsistent for that limelight. Inconsistent with his health. Since winning that championship, AD, he's missed 15 game plus stretches 4 times in the last 3 seasons. 4 times he had to miss 15 consecutive games. He's way too good and way too valuable to that team to miss that amount of time consistently. Also, even with how dominant he is, offensively, he can be a little up and down. In last year's playoffs, the first 9 games was pretty much a roller coaster. Big games offensively, and then kind of mid lackluster games where he would have like 15 points. So with the team he plays for and the legend he plays for, he doesn't really get to let up, and inconsistencies is truly the focal point of all of his criticism. Kyrie Irving, even with how magical and
my thing with AD is because I don't know. My thing with AD is just, I understand he's an extremely impactful player. I'm not taking that away from him. But AD had certain expectations going into the league. And again, I think AD, I'm not going back to the Zion talk. I don't think it's as extreme as the Zion talk. AD is a Hall of Famer. AD at this point is an all-time great. You know what I'm saying? He has done enough to move away from those potential expectation bust conversations. But I will say, AD going into his draft had best in the world potential. AD 3 to 4 years in showed that he can live up to that potential. AD, when he got traded to the Lakers, and also with the way he pouted out of New Orleans. He was expected to be the next great big in LA. He was supposed to be the dude that would transition the Lakers from LeBron to the AD era. But I'm not going to lie, like, we are now going up to year 4. And you can make the case that AD is now the most talented player on the team, but it still feels like LeBron's team. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he was supposed to be what Magic was for Kareem at the tail end of his career, but like the Lakers are way too still LeBron reliant, given LeBron's age last season, so.
And how dynamic he is individually, he just hasn't been able to shake the label of not being a winning player without LeBron. Boston, they got better without him. Brooklyn, they couldn't keep him on the court, and KD ironically had a better record with Brooklyn without him. Last year, it wasn't his fault at all, but Dallas, they imploded once they traded for him. Also, Kyrie, we know he's been one of the more criticized athletes for his beliefs and how he's gone about him, and really his unprofessionalism at times, and him not really being a dependable player. That's why he gets slammed. Kevin Durant, he gets his heat for like the 3 S's. Sensitivity, him being on super teams, and Steph. Kevin Durant, he's always going at it with some Joe on Twitter about his resume. Kevin Durant, he always finds himself on some...
Which honestly though, I fuck with KD. Whatchamacallit? I fuck with KD interacting with people on Twitter. The only criticism I have, and the really main criticism I have, is just own up to being sensitive. It's fine to be sensitive. It's fine to be sensitive. It's fine to care about other people's opinions, you know what I'm saying? But just own up to it type shit. And my bad for the AC in the background, but just own up to it, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to pretend like, man, look at all these losers on the internet, man. It doesn't bother me. But all you do is fucking react to people on Twitter. Or go on these crazy stretches on Twitter where you just keep on reacting, you know what I'm saying? You care. It's fine. But you care.
Crazy team on paper where it looks like they're predominant favorites. And oddly enough, Kevin Durant, since leaving Steph, it seems like the internet put him in this odd competition with Steph about who was actually more valuable to that team. At least that's what the internet did. If you guys like this video, the man that's probably the most criticized, I probably left off this list, LeBron, and that's because we numb to that. A man made a whole career off of that. Follow my social media sites.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, LeBron. I think LeBron should have been on here, but I understand the reasoning as to why he wasn't. I ain't gonna lie, Tatum, for the last 2 seasons, Tatum has been getting baked by the end of the fucking playoffs, and like to the nth degree. And for a dude who's still like just turned 25, it's a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of criticism for a dude who's under 25 or just turned 25.